This is the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, a phone that many in the United States have yet to hear of, and if you have, you're likely not able to get it easily. That obscurity in the Western market fascinates me amongst our shallow sea of options, Apple, Samsung, and Google. We have so few options in America, so a phone like this makes me wonder, what is it that we could be missing out on that the rest of the world can experience? How does it compare to something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and what are some things from it that we should ask for from Apple, Samsung, and Google? Let's find out together in my Oppo Find X7 Ultra review. Amongst the pervasive move towards more minimalistic design and neutral desaturated colors, the Oppo Find X7 Ultra has an interesting, a gorgeous design without being shouty with bold colors. The two-tone look makes me miss the Google Pixel designs of old. It kinda looks like a grown-up version of that design mindset with beautiful, textured, vegan leather on the bottom that adds a touch of softness and warmth to its metallic glass and aluminum gray top. It's hard to ignore the massive camera circle, the fine details that make it look more like a traditional vintage camera, and the 4 cameras that consist of all flagship level 50 megapixel cameras. While the camera bump is massive, it is centered, preventing it from wobbling around while lying on a table, and it props it up a little bit, making it easy to glance at. There is an alert slider on it that is borrowed from OnePlus, which merged with Oppo not too long ago. However, it varies from OnePlus with the addition of a VIP mode, which turns off your camera, microphone, and GPS. It's both neat to have and a bit curious to see on a Chinese only model, but not on any of Oppo or OnePlus's global models. The overall form factor has curved edges on the back and front glass, which certainly feels good in the hand, but I prefer a flat front display. This phone has a more Eastern focused audience and they prefer curved displays, while Western audiences tend to prefer flat displays, which is some interesting context. I prefer the flat design on the S24 Ultra, and the titanium on it may be a placebo, but I like it over the aluminum on the Oppo. The massive QHD plus 6.82-inch display itself is pretty incredible, with a typical peak brightness outside of 1600 nits and a local peak brightness of 4500 nits. This screen gets bright, especially with HDR content, which is supported through the Dolby Vision, HDR10+, HDR10, and HLG standards. It's also an LTPO display, so it supports variable refresh rates from 1Hz to 120Hz. There's also 2160Hz high frequency PWM for those sensitive to that, and an ultra low latency touch surface with rainwater touch support, which makes it so that you can still interact with your screen while it's wet. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra does manage to beat the Oppo in a few areas, specifically its 2600 peak brightness across the entire display, which makes it easier to see outside, and the addition of the Corning Gorilla Armor glass. Because of Gorilla Armor, the display is less prone to scratches and it has that fantastic anti-glare finish that would undoubtedly prove useful on a phone with curved edges. But this one at least has a screen protector already installed on it, so that's nice. Despite those few areas which immediately impact the quality of life, I still prefer the look of the Oppo as it seems more attractive overall. But I'd love to know what things you love more about each. The Oppo Find X7 Ultra has a 5000 mAh battery that easily lasts me throughout the day and sometimes into the next day, and supports 100 watt Super VOOC ultra fast charging, which will charge it from 0% to 100% in under 30 minutes. Faster charging like this is fantastic to have when you're in a pinch and has saved my butt while traveling or during a busy day with heavy phone and camera use. The battery inside also supports twice the charge cycles of what you would find on an iPhone or Samsung Galaxy, so I don't really worry about the battery longevity from the fast charging. They also have some technology in here that they figured out to make it so that that fast charging doesn't affect the battery as much. It also brings 50 watt wireless charging, largely absent from Oppo and OnePlus phones for a while, so it's nice to see a return. Interestingly, it wirelessly charges faster than the S24 Ultra while plugged in. Unfortunately, it does not adopt the Qi 2 standard, so you won't be able to use MagSafe compatible accessories on this. Inside, you'll find 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, 1 terabyte of UFS 4.0 storage to fit all those fantastic photos and videos that you'll take, and the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. Because of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, there's better efficiency to help with battery life to last longer. It also provides support for AI processors should Oppo want to utilize it, and gives it enough power to handle everything you throw at it from normal tasks to gaming. With ease, I got a consistent 60 frames per second at max settings in Genshin Impact and haven't noticed any lag or slowdowns in the software in my use. Oppo has done a great job of optimizing optimizing the performance of this phone. The Oppo Find X7 Ultra camera is genuinely insane in terms of hardware. It sports 4 50-megapixel flagship level cameras, including a 1-inch Sony Light 900 sensor on the primary camera, an ultra-wide camera, and not one, but 2 periscope telephoto cameras. These larger sensors naturally result in better low-light performance and that beautiful blurry bokeh. I recently took the Oppo Find X7 Ultra with me when I went to Dublin, Ireland, and wow, it was a perfect fit for the cathedrals and streets I visited. The Hasselblad tuning adds a pleasant warmth, contrast, and character to the image that you typically don't see on the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, which aims for a more sterile, more technical look rather than, for a lack of a better phrase, the vibes! Essentially what Oppo is doing is merging a more traditional camera and something like a Fuji camera with its film simulations to create that vibe, so I prefer that look over a typical smartphone camera look. And I'm not just singling out the S24 Ultra, that's the same kind of goal or look that I'm seeing on the Google Pixel 8 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So the larger sensors helped in darker areas of the cathedral, resulting in a brighter exposure with less noise and perform exceptionally well in nighttime situations. Additionally, those large sensors give that beautiful depth of field and bokeh that you typically find in a normal large sensor camera with a great lens. With sensors this big and with the telephoto lenses on this, I don't see the need to ever use artificial portrait mode software features anymore. Get the real deal instead. Just move your feet in your subject and get the shot. A big thing to highlight is how Oppo has utilized each camera at specific focal lengths to cover a wide range without relying on digital zoom until you reach a more fringe zoom range. That means you have a native ultra-wide lens at 0.6x, 1x, a sensor crop from the primary 50-megapixel sensor at 2x, a native lens at 3x, 6x, and a sensor crop again on the 50-megapixel tele lens at 12x. Beyond that, you finally reach a digital zoom. That means you get a high-quality image from 14mm to 270mm. This was a big issue for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra because it had a massive gap between its 3x and 10x cameras, resulting in some pretty gnarly digital crop image deterioration, which they did fix in the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra by changing the tele to a 5x camera. In practice, the Find X7 Ultra lives up to these promises of a high quality image throughout the entire zoom range. The ultra wide maintains great color and processing, and the tele lenses help get that excellent reach that comes in handy while traveling. I appreciate how the tele lenses produce such a clean, detailed image with beautiful color. Many other cameras will struggle when you push the tele a bit more or look at it closely, where you can see a lot of chromatic aberration, haze, and distortion like on the Google Pixel 8 Pro and even the S24 Ultra at times. One of the best things about a high quality tele lens like this is that you can get that great, fantastic compression in photos and make the background feel much closer to the subject than it actually is, which is perfect for that classic portrait photo shot. Overall, the Oppo Find X7 Ultra camera will give you a more natural, traditional camera experience than the overprocessed, sterile look from the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Google Pixel 8 Pro, and iPhone 15 Pro Max. Video on the Find X7 Ultra benefits from its industry-leading camera hardware in many ways. It can handle lower light situations better and create a more cinematic look with its natural bokeh. There is still room for Oppo to improve its video processing, as you can certainly tell that the iPhone 15 Pro Max and Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra can handle processing a bit better. I can only imagine how insane video would look like on those phones if they had the hardware like on the Find X7 Ultra. And that's one of the things that sets the Oppo Find X7 Ultra apart from the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. It may not have as premium of materials as the S24 Ultra, which is certainly nice, but not a make or break for me. The Find X7 Ultra is also pushing the limits of what's possible rather than doing something that is an iterative refinement every year. What makes the Find X7 Ultra and S24 Ultra killer to me is the character it brings both in design and its camera. It's hard to deny that both those things are far more opinionated than on the S24 Ultra, which one could say takes a more conservative and safe approach. The Find X7 Ultra is also doing things that other phones aren't doing or are just starting to do in the East with its camera hardware. That hardware makes it far more capable than the S24 Ultra because the Find X7 Ultra doesn't have to rely on software so much to compensate and counteract for the reality of physics and the limitations of a smaller sensor. The camera's capability, the feel of using it, and the look of the images produced out of it make me want to go out and take photos with it. It's fun and exciting. The S24 Ultra in comparison feels a lot more like a blunt force tool rather than an elegant and artistic one, and I just don't reach for it as much when I want to take photos. There are a few things to recognize about the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. At the time of filming, it is only available in China with a China-only ROM. That means Google Play services are not pre-installed, so you have to find a way to sideload it onto your phone to access Google Play services services and apps on the Play Store. Additionally, some apps and layouts are common within China-specific phones that might be a bit overwhelming or different for people who are not used to navigating that kind of way of using your phone that is common in the East. Hopefully, Oppo will release a global version of the Find X7 Ultra, as the software is something that will not only feel more comfortable for Western audiences, but may even prove to be even better in some areas, specifically in how clean and easy it is compared to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, which can be more complicated, but also far more customizable and filled with some neat tips here and there that I covered in my massive 1 hour and 40-minute long video on those tips and tricks for the S24 Ultra. You should check out that video right here now. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time.